Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you for coming to the Trade Show Blitz. My name is Hugh Churchill. I am a first-year student at Sloan, and I've been helping to organize the trade show as well as the Trade Show Blitz. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the trade show, it is right next door in room 302, where the following presenters are all out there with their teams and their products, willing to answer any questions that you guys have. So if you haven't had a chance to make it there yet, please do stop by. So the Trade Show Blitz itself is going to be a pitch competition that includes a 4-minute pitch as well as some Q&A led by our judges over here. The 4 minutes will be strictly enforced by our running timer as well as a buzzer that will be audible at the end of the round. So the award at the end will then be given later today at the Elfo Awards. To help us with our judging, I have the pleasure of introducing Kevin Schaff, who is a serial entrepreneur as well as a chairman at T3 Media, Mark Wan, who is the managing partner at Causeway Media Partners, and Jim Quagliaroli, who is the managing director at Spectrum Equity. So without further ado, I'm going to invite the Produco group up to start us off.
Ready? My name is Steve Chamble. I'm the original vice president, co-founder of the Produco Group. Produco is a defense consulting company leading clients from data to decisions. I'll get to the defense part in a minute. So we do the big ugly data. How do I integrate and aggregate data? And then once we have data, we get pretty excited because then we can leverage our core capabilities in operations research, applied mathematics to provide analytical insight to decision makers. As I mentioned, we're a defense consulting company set up in 2011 and quickly realized a lot of the problems that we were solving in defense crossed over to other multiple domains like healthcare, energy, and in fact sports. For example, the Department of Defense is concerned with what's called quantified warrior. And quantified warrior, I want to know how are the things off the battlefield impacting performance on the battlefield. So as you can imagine, sports teams, how do things that especially young players are doing off the court impact and influence performance on the court, both in terms of performance, behavior, and those types of things. So about 1.5 years ago, we made a strategic push into the sports domain. You can see here kind of 4 major thrust areas. I'll start from the bottom. Gaming predictions. Dr. Jacob Leffelholtz, our director for advanced analytics, published an article on using artificial neural networks to predict NBA outcomes. We spent about a little over 3 seasons of results, and we're at about 62% against the spread. So kind of the nice thing to say is we beat the bookies. From business to business, we partner with some of the leading companies in sports. For instance, one example with Stats Incorporated, to kind of take what their core expertise is in data and then do some demonstration capability of how you can leverage what we bring to the table in terms of applied mathematics, algorithms, optimization routines. And we did some NBA classification based on NCAA performance. On the next slide, just kind of a snapshot of some of the things that we do. Again, we're kind of a data analytics company, so we're excited about once we have data, what can we do with it? Up in the top left, we did some optimized scout scheduling, kind of minimize travel cost and get the most that we can get out of our scouting program from kind of a travel and sales problem, we call it. Some aggregate player evaluation. Down in the lower right there, we talked about pitch FX data, how to predict where the next pitch is coming. So this is just some of the team consultation demonstration work we've done. In fantasy, we're partnered with fftoolbox.com to work with them, gearing up to release kind of an advanced analytics premium site. The goal here is to be able to put some of the advanced analytical tools and techniques in a usable format into the hands of the fans so they can kind of win their fantasy leagues. Obviously, some of the top left and bottom, kind of some of the heat map visualization things. We do some of the baseline kind of data exchange and then do some of the data visualization, kind of first level visibility, but then kind of do some of the analytics behind the scenes to be able to provide additional insight to the teams. So originally, like I said, 3 years ago, we set up a defense analytics company, and then quickly have started migrating into other domains, leveraging really our core expertise in operations research and applied mathematics. And I think I have time for questions.
So it sounds like your capabilities go across a broad spectrum of applications within sports. What's the best and highest application, do you think? And who's that customer?
And that's one of our struggles, because we kind of look at, depending on what the challenge is, there are many things we can do. So like the scout scheduling optimization, working with the front office, we had kind of one of the teams that said, hey, this would be an interesting problem to look at. So we went out and built that demonstrated capability. Some of we call it the sexy side of sports, right? With actually player evaluation, there's a little sensitivities there. So some of the business applications we think we have a little bit more traction in right now. But you're right, we can solve kind of a broad base of challenge areas.
You talked about the partnership with SAS. You characterized your core capability as the applied mathematics. So maybe just a little more color in terms of where they stop and where you pick up, or vice versa, in terms of getting at the core IP that you think you present.
So we're not necessarily partnered with SAS. I mean, we're very familiar with SAS. We did some work with stats. Right. And so the intellectual property would be kind of the secret sauce in the back in terms of the neural nets and some of the predictive algorithms that we've done.
Thanks.
Hi, everybody. My name is Oliver Sharp. I'm the Director of Business Development for a company called AMP. AMP's a provider of software solutions for elite sports organizations. As we all know from being here at the Sloan Sports Analytics Conference, there's a lot of data in sports today. U.S. ski team, for example, manages 50% of the American athletes at the Winter Olympics. It's hundreds of athletes competing in 7 disciplines, as well as all the coaches, trainers, and support staff that are also on that team. So those guys are competing, training, traveling all over the world, generating tons and tons of data. After Vancouver, that data was in 3-ring spiral notebooks, rolled up on little pieces of paper in their pocket on very complicated Excel spreadsheets. So the first problem was, how do you manage those people and not only collect the data, but turn that data into actionable intelligence? U.S. ski team also oversees 425 club organizations, about 40,000 young athletes that is the feeder system for the national team. Second problem, how do we identify the future Olympians among that group and then bring them up to the national level? So our 2 core offerings, AMP Sport and AMP Skills, solve those problems and a lot more. Our developers actually embedded with the high performance department and the sports scientists at the U.S. ski team to figure out how to better manage their teams, enhance individual performance, and identify and develop future talent. So with AMP Sport and AMP Skills, we control the entire long-term athletic development of athletes. We get them when they come in at the youth level for their ski development, through the club competition level, all the way to elite success. On this slide here, we see Ted Ligety as a 9-year-old at Mount Hood Camp on the left, all the way to his gold medal last week at Sochi. So with AMP, we really think that we can manage the Ted Ligatys of today and identify the Ted Ligatys of tomorrow. Take a look at the product here. So the U.S. ski team is based in Park City, Utah, but thanks to our comprehensive cloud-based system, the data is available anytime, anywhere, all over the world. We promote communication and collaboration within a sports organization. Coaches, trainers, and all the support staff are on the same page in the preparation of these elite athletes. We actually capture a lot of data within the system, but we can also import any data from a CSV format to the system and graph it for the team. So there's a lot of hardware devices on the market now. We've seen some this weekend. Anything that can get data to a CSV format, we can bring that in, make it actionable. These guys can build and assign workouts for their athletes, evaluate performance, and manage the athletic load. So for the athletes, AMP Sport provides accessibility, visibility, and accountability. Right now, today, the women's ski team is over in Switzerland, the men's ski team is in Norway, and there's a World Junior Championships in Slovenia. So thanks to AMP Sport, the athletes have all their training sessions, nutritional data, everything's at their fingertips. They're also doing a wellness questionnaire, which tracks their physiology and psychology and sends that data or any irregularities in that data back to the coaches in the US. So the second part of the equation is AMP Skills, which standardizes sport-specific skill evaluations across age groups. So this is how we're identifying the young athletes. So we can take this, we can register and score these different events that are around the country. There's one today in Connecticut right now. One of those kids might make the ski team for South Korea in a few years. So we started with US Ski Team. We've moved into 8 different sports in 4 different countries in the last 8 months. We think that there is tremendous opportunity here. We actually are managing our growth in order to continue to provide the support that our customers deserve and have come to expect. So there's tremendous opportunity aside from the pro teams. There's 30 million plus amateur athletes in the US, and this is sports coaching in the US alone. $6 billion per year industry. Globally, I think that's closer to probably $50 billion. 2 seconds for questions.
I'm Brent Markle, CEO of Avitech. At Avitech, we are changing the game in proactive avalanche safety. I'm absolutely terrified of avalanches. As an avid backcountry skier with years of international experience in Chile, Switzerland, and the US, I know firsthand that a beautiful day in the backcountry can turn deadly within seconds. I've triggered avalanches before, had friends partially buried, nearly killed in avalanches, so this issue is personal. Understanding avalanche risk is incredibly difficult and time-consuming. Today, backcountry travelers like myself rely on crude manual methods in which we dig a 6-foot hole in the snow for 20 to 30 minutes, and we poke and prod with our own gloves at various layers of the snowpack, trying to identify weaknesses that can collapse under our own weight and trigger an avalanche. But these methods take time, they're labor-intensive, and they only tell us about a single location, and snow conditions change all over the mountain. So what's our solution? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm thrilled and proud to introduce to you today the Avitech Snow Profiler, the first proactive avalanche safety device of its kind that more quickly and accurately assesses snowpack structure and other critical avalanche risk factors, helping users navigate more safely in avalanche terrain. Our proprietary device is lightweight and portable, has rapid sensing technology, and provides objective data with which you can make more informed decisions. And we've gotten some pretty awesome results to date. Our snow profiles closely mirror those of a professional avalanche forecaster, except we do this with 100 times more data resolution and in less than 10 seconds. But we didn't stop there. We are building a human sensor network. I want you to imagine thousands of our devices scattered all across the globe. A network in which each one of our devices Bluetooths data directly to a smartphone application, allowing us to crowdsource and map avalanche event data in real time, improving avalanche forecasting, ski resort area management, and helping users understand whether or not it's safe to set foot in the backcountry even before they leave their front door. Our platform integrates weather, snowpack data, avalanche mitigation efforts, and more into a platform and network unlike anything in the industry today. We've built a world-class advisory board of leading industry experts like Brian Lazar, the executive director of the American Institute for Avalanche Research and Education, and Chris Davenport, a 2-time World Extreme Skiing champion. We've also created an extensive partner network of over 50 partners across the US, Europe, and Canada, including renowned resorts like Vail, Breckenridge, Aspen, Big Sky, and Jackson Hole. And finally, we believe that we have the right team of talented engineers, designers, and business students, the passion and the vision to fundamentally revolutionize avalanche safety and the broader outdoor sports industry in the next 5 years. We've raised a seed round of funding, earned a grant from the American Avalanche Association. At Avitech, we are building products and analytic platforms that we believe will fundamentally enhance our safety in the alpine backcountry and mitigate risk, improve our understanding of snow science, and ultimately save lives. Thanks.
What's the average cost of a naturally caused avalanche when it comes to damage, insurance? I mean, taking the personal side of the lives out of it, what's the typical cost of an avalanche?
That's a really difficult question. I mean, it can be in the millions of dollars. It really depends on if it's, did it take out a highway, transportation network? Did it take out buildings? It's really tough to give you an absolute cost. Obviously, the cost of life is obviously significant. A lot of the individuals that have died in avalanches this year and in years past are young, have a full life ahead of them. We're also looking into the military as well. Cost of life, things like that can vary dramatically. So it's tough to give you a number.
Before I ask my question, just as a point of clarification for future presenters, I think you guys have 4 minutes, and then we can ask the questions. I don't Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not asking you to present in 2 and then have a couple minutes for questions. Is that right? 4 minutes. Okay, sorry. That's tough. What does this cost to make?
I'll tell you about price. I probably won't discuss cost too much, but cost we're also figuring out, right? These are early prototypes. We built about 25 that we're sharing all over the world. We're looking at pricing for professionals. We're entirely focused on the professional market right now, $1,500 to $2,500 range. We're still figuring that out, and ultimately, for a very expert level consumer, we'll get there in the next couple of years.
But at $1,500, you think you can make money on this? That's the business plan at the low end?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, sustainable business. Yep.
I'm CJ Handren, the CEO of Diamond Kinetics, a spin-out of both the universities of Michigan and Pittsburgh, where we are focused on fundamentally changing the way baseball and softball players of all ages and skill levels learn and improve through the power of sensor-driven motion analysis. A large part of our market are the 11 million youth baseball and softball players in the United States, many of whom are playing on traveling teams, working out in training facilities and academies, and who have families that spend a lot of money trying to help them improve. We're developing our inertial measurement sensors to initially be used in 2 important ways. Player performance, so we can stop relying so much on the eyeball test when it comes to evaluating a motion that takes about 0.2 of a second. And equipment fitting, so we can stop relying on this height and weight chart as the only way to choose a bat. Swing Tracker is our consumer product and performance tool for players and coaches to use with our mobile application and within our dynamic community. Well, Bat Fitter allows us to replace that chart by instead using a player's physical swing mechanics and physics right there in the store to help better choose an optimal bat. By simply attaching our sensor to the knob of the bat, Swing Tracker users have the ability to capture key swing metrics and in-depth data at an unmatched level. Now, our real-time feedback and in-depth data are very important, but it's our advanced swing mechanics analysis and actionable training features that really start to set us apart. Tracking progress and improvement is critical, both for the players and the coaches, which is why Swing Tracker is enabled with coach-facing features and functionality, so that they can engage with their players even when they're not working with them side by side. We also know that our core target users are young, social, and highly networked, which is why we bring them right into the Diamond Kinetics community, where through their profile they have the opportunity to connect, share, and compete. Who knows, maybe this helps them get scouted and recruited. As a business, our model is not all about hardware. We have a great piece of hardware, but it's our comprehensive experience and platform for players and coaches that creates unique ways for us to monetize beyond hardware. We really look at our sensor as an enabler to much bigger things. We also know that it's critical to build trust and credibility with players and coaches, and that we can't do that alone. So we have and continue to align ourselves with key partners in baseball and in science. And we're excited that best-in-class organizations continue to select Diamond Kinetics as the company to align with as sensor-driven motion analysis forges into baseball. An example of one of these best-in-class partners is Modus. Working from their lab on the IMG Academy campus in Florida, Modus is a recognized leader in biomechanics analysis and movement for performance improvement for high-performing athletes. As a partner of ours, they enable us to better understand the biomechanics of a player's swing beyond what we just capture with our sensor on the bat to provide much more meaningful information within our applications. Modus is also a leading baseball partner of the American Sports Medicine Institute. And in fact, ASMI, Modus, and our company founder, Dr. William Clark, are currently working on a first-of-its-kind research study around the biomechanics of hitting. It's just another example of our commitment to the science behind all of this. We're excited to soon be launching our sensor-driven platform, where the swing is just the beginning, to be able to enable players and coaches from the highest levels of the game down the power of scientifically driven motion analysis at their fingertips. Now, the sports sensor and wearable space is rapidly evolving, but hopefully what you can see about us is that we're a lot more than a company simply selling sensors. Thanks.
So maybe it was up there, but the judges, of course, can't see the panel, the presentation. What's the revenue model here?
So the revenue model is partially in hardware. So we have a consumer product where we actually sell an inertial measurement sensor. We see an opportunity to monetize both in instructional content and in the ability to use a multi-platform interface, so web interface, mobile application, and creating an opportunity with some of the partners that we're lining up right now on the instructional side to create a more dynamic environment through subscription in-app purchases and some ways to not be solely focused on hardware.
Are there other sports being contemplated at this point?
There are other sports opportunities. So we actually have a field of use license for 2 patents in this space from the University of Michigan specific to baseball and softball. We've explored a couple of other extension opportunities from there. We'll go on a deeper dive into baseball and other motions in baseball first, though. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Bob Schaefer, founder of Prophecy Sciences. Our goal is to predict athletic performance using neuroscience. If you've been to any talks at this conference, from Andrew Luck to Phil Jackson, you've heard the same message repeated over and over again. The next fundamental change in sports will come with the ability to measure and predict the cognitive factors that influence athletic performance. And this goal is no secret. The great Bill Russell said, concentration and mental toughness are the margins of victory. And this is true across sports. At the highest levels, the difference between winning and losing is mental. That's where we come in. Prophecy Sciences lets organizations develop better teams and recruit better talent using neuroscience. We've created a 30-minute cognitive assessment combining neuroscience-based games and the collection of biometric signals. Teams can use this assessment to identify individuals with cognitive attributes that they care about and also tailor development programs to each individual teammate's mental weaknesses. We bring hard neuroscience to soft skills. We do this using 20 years of doctoral and postdoctoral research from Stanford and MIT, along with programs from the Stanford Graduate School of Business, the D School, and the Y Combinator Startup Accelerator program. We've taken this experience and we've created a product that lets teams do 3 things that they couldn't do before. First, we measure behavioral and biometric signatures that no other assessment can measure. Our neuroscience-based games focus on things like decision-making under pressure, probabilistic decision-making, attentional control, even social interactions. We have standardized, objective ways of measuring behavioral and biometric signatures that used to be considered intangibles. Second, we let you discover which cognitive factors actually matter for the outcomes that you care about. Did you know that the athletes who coaching staffs rank as the most composed under pressure share similarities in their pulse beat variability when they make certain types of decisions? That's something that we measure in our assessment. Each of our models is validated using coaches' data and real performance data. Finally, we let you develop the cognitive factors that actually improve player and team performance. We let you tailor your development programs to each individual athlete's mental weaknesses. Now, our path to changing the world of sports includes combining our advanced technology with distribution that scales. For pro teams and college teams, we provide our premium assessment. For the mass market, we are 2 months away from releasing our light online version of our assessment that is available to amateur athletes everywhere that lets them compare themselves to the pros and also define their own cognitive training programs. From a revenue and engagement perspective, we love having the single one-time assessments for recruiting. Things like the draft combine would be a dream. But we also have a second, even bigger revenue stream from recurring payments through team and individual training programs. And for all the MBAs out here, yes, this actually does translate to the corporate world. We already have a data set of top performers from corporations like Google, Twitter, New York Times, Accenture, and many, many more. We're Prophecy Sciences. We're predicting athletic performance using neuroscience. Thanks.
So are there teams currently using this?
So we've worked with college teams so far. We're still looking for our first pro team partners.
And when you say their college teams using it, is it they're evaluating it, or have they actually incorporated it into their programs? And
So
how
we've
many?
done pilot programs initially where we've collected data from them in return for the reports that we've given. So we're still in the process of, we have several models that are ready to go and are part of the product that we're selling, and several others that are in progress.
What's the accuracy of the report against your benchmark when you first start, and who owns the data when you're done?
Who owns it? So the accuracy is very good for some of the models, like composure under pressure, leadership, optimism, and who owns the data depends on who the purchaser is, whether it's the team or the individual. Thanks.
Good afternoon to everybody. I'm Harri Hohtari, and I'm the CEO and founder of Sports IQ. Personally, I played 17 years of pro basketball in Finland and been a member of the Olympic team, so I think I have some foundation in basketball. What we are doing at Sports IQ, we are the game changer in sports analytics. Everybody here is talking about a sport view data in NBA, but the problems what they have are they need people to actually run it. In Finland, that wouldn't be possible to put 10 people to run that data. What we provide is real-time, lights-out analytics by instrumenting the players with a tag, the ball with a tag, and running automated analytics on top of that. So what this allows for the coach is we released an iPad app yesterday or 2 days ago, where you can actually look through the statistics, what we collect, advanced statistics, and look them up from a video. That's easy. You don't need a 10 people analytics team to run with it. So as said, we run the system currently second year in the Finnish Pro League, Korisliiga, and we've run it with the Finnish national team, which for the first time ever for 50 years or so got into the World Championship, and the first game is against the US. So we are looking forward to that, but we have advantage. We use automated analytics. And it's not only about the teams, it's also about the individuals. So we are looking ways to partner with sport manufacturers, sport equipment manufacturers, to scale down the algorithms into consumers, because that's where the mass market is, and that's how to get the cost even further down. So we are about making the sports intelligent, real-time, lights-out analytics. Then for the questions.
So your analytics, you get, I may have missed this, you get the data from sensors that you place on the players and the balls, or
Yes.
do you use the stats systems that now are installed in all the arenas?
We collect our own data using the sensors, which we put on the shoes of the players and embed into the balls. And also in the venue, you have to have 8 beacons on the ceiling.
From an average cost of install per player for the sensors, what's the cost per player to set up or per team?
We count the cost per team. It's priced currently so that top-end high schools in the US could afford it. Middle-range NCAA teams could afford it. Also, well, Finnish leagues is not the most biggest league in the world, but that's the good, that my background is there. So I love the sports. I want to make it affordable for medium level of sports leagues. And it's not only about basketball, we've done ice hockey and football as well.
And your value add, just to go back for a second, is not in the data capture, it's in the analytics, is that right?
Yes, we're making the analytics easy for the coaches which don't have the capability of hiring 10 people to run it.
Okay, so it's an improvement in efficiency, because there's a lot of data already in the
so,
NBA on that front.
Yeah, so as an example, for the national team, they run 10 hours of footage for each game, look it through, we make it down to 15 minutes.
And these are generic sensors. We should think of you, it's a software analytics platform, not also kind of proprietary IP around the sensors themselves. Is that right?
So as said, the sensors can be used in any sports, unlike optical tracking where you have to tune it for each sport differently. But here we can use it on, well, water polo, somebody from water polo.
But you're using off-the-shelf sensors. You're not.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The software is proprietary, but the sensors are stock stuff.
And the sensor life, I mean, if you put it on the shoes and then the equipment, what's the lifespan of the sensor?
We provide each player a tag for 1 season, so you don't have to recharge it. It lasts for the season, even including the practices. There are some clever ways of activating it only when used. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Podenko. I'm one of the co-founders of SwingBite, and my business partner Nathan is hiding out somewhere in the audience here. And the reason I'm here today is because of a problem in the consumer side. So we've heard a lot about professional teams, about kind of the higher end of sport, but there's a problem on the consumer side. And the fact is that sport enthusiasts don't have access to convenient, affordable, and actionable performance improvement data. Now, many of you here have access to information like that, but the average guy doesn't. Let's say the average golfer, for example. Until SwingBite came along, their only option was to either shell out between $10,000 or $40,000 for one of those radar-based systems or optical systems, or rent time. So this is SwingBite. It is an inertial sensor, very simple sensor, that you throw on a golf club, and via Bluetooth, within about 2 seconds of taking a swing, information about that swing is transmitted to an iPad, an iPhone, or a Google Glass, or whatever other option you have. Now, the data is very interesting. So what we give you is a full 3D representation of the swing. You can play it back. You can look at it from any vantage point. You can compare swings side by side with yourself, with other people, with professional players that we have a database of. You can look at the analytics themselves. So club head speed, all the different angles, everything you could possibly care about a golf swing is available. Additionally, you have the ability to pull in video. So one of the things that we let you do is, let's say you're using a tablet of some sort. You can put it on a tripod behind you on the driving range, and it will record video in a loop. And every time you take a swing in front of it, we'll automatically trim that video, synchronize it with the 3D, and show it to you side by side. The golf swing rather, is a fast motion. The downswing takes about a quarter of a second. So you can't see it on an iPad video, you can't see the club, but you can see the body. And so together we have the ability to see the club from the 3D, the numbers from the 3D, and what the body is doing from the video. Now, SwingBite's been around for about just under 2 years. We launched at the 2012 PGA show in Orlando, where Golf Digest called us one of the 12 coolest items at the show. And we've had a great run ever since. Shortly thereafter, AT&T came to us and picked us up to be in 1,800 of their stores. We've got great retail distribution in the United States. We're online. We're available internationally. But I want to come back to something I said at the beginning, which is that the 3 problems on the consumer side is that you don't have convenient, affordable, and actionable performance improvement information. Well, over the last 2 years, we feel like we've solved the first 2, convenient and affordable. SwingBite runs $149, the apps are free. The actionable piece, that's the interesting one. So over the course of the last 2 years, we've gathered literally millions of golf swings, and we've been doing analysis on them. And I think that this is the year that we'll be able to truly deliver actionable performance improvement information to help golfers improve faster. Thank you.
Out of the install base, what's the current utilization rate and overall churn?
So I won't be able to give you specific numbers, but the overall utilization is as you would expect it. There's a spike in the beginning and then it trails off a little bit, but we have golfers that have used the same device for over 1.5 years. Obviously, they're in the minority. On average, you see at least a season's worth. So it's pretty good. Now, this is primarily a range tool, so you could play around with this, but most of the time, people use it on the range. So you do have to move it from club to club. You have to tell the app what the club is and so on.
How many strokes will it take off my game?
How much time will you spend with it? So the idea is, right now, what the app lets you do is we help you help yourself. So we show you what you're doing. We give you the ability to say, this is a swing I like, this is a swing I don't like. Compare that information over time. Compare yourself with professionals. It works great in the student-teacher setting because we have tools in there to be able to work with a pro remotely, with your pro, not necessarily a library of other pros. So in those settings, it works great, and it works great for people that know what they're looking for in the numbers. We have a few things coming down the line that will kind of extend that.
And I might have missed it earlier, but how many installs do you have? How many units have been sold?
It's in the tens of thousands.
Is the AT&T deal exclusive, or can you?
It's not exclusive.
So athletic organizations collect mountains of fitness data from a variety of sources. These organizations recognize the importance of this data and the challenge in unlocking its full value. The key to unlocking the full potential of this data rests in capturing the data and centralizing it, and then sending it out and communicating it across all of your departments. I'm Kevin Davidovich, president and co-founder of CoachMe Plus. CoachMe Plus is a software platform. We aggregate all of your fitness data, regardless of where it comes from. It can be wearable devices, it can be fitness assessments, it can be tests, it can be strength and conditioning programs. All of that data is organized and compiled in our software. We then centralize this data. What we do is we put it on dashboards, and we share that information with key decision makers. All the information goes into reports. Reports then give you your key performance indicators, it gives you intervention points, and shares that information across the right departments. Some of the benefits for the individuals who are using the system, for the strength and conditioning coaches, they use our tools, and our tools help them spend less time building strength and conditioning programs, less time inputting data, and spend more time working hands-on and directly with their athletes. For the front office, they're getting their key performance indicators to actually make enhanced managerial decisions. And for the athlete, they're taking the accountability in what they're doing so that their merits are actually tracked both inside and outside of the gym. All this information is then centralized and communicated in our platform so that everybody in the organization is on the same page. In 2013, the Philadelphia Eagles reviewed CoachMe Plus. James Harris, their chief of staff, said they looked at close to 100 platforms, and CoachMe Plus was really the only one that met all of their needs. When they entered the 2013 playoffs, they did so as one of the healthiest teams in the NFL. Now, I believe that was in part due to CoachMe Plus. Professional and collegiate sports teams have already vetted CoachMe Plus. Early adopters include teams in the NFL, the NHL, and Major League Baseball. We've also partnered with some high-end universities as well. CoachMe Plus users are using their data to maximize game day performance. A lot of teams talk about using data to help them make decisions, fitness data, hydration data, nutrition. Our teams are doing that today. Questions?
If you're pulling in data from other sources, I imagine you could pull in from Fitbit and all the others. How important is your brand relative to theirs, and how do you manage that relationship?
So when we work with our partners, where the data, if let's say Catapult has a dashboard on our system, we'll brand it with a Catapult logo and make sure that you know that the data is actually coming from Catapult. For those devices, we don't replace what they do. We're pulling in all the data, but for the decision maker, they just might need to see 2 or 3 indexes that are important to them. If they want to do in-depth analysis, they can go into Catapult and do the in-depth analysis. The main point is that you're trying to put all of those pieces and save the user from logging into 15 different pieces of software and going to one central place.
And what's the revenue model?
It's an annual license. Pro teams are paying about $60,000 a year. We're doing $30,000 a year for the first year and then moving up to a larger model.
So there are obviously a lot of people trying to collect the data beyond just all those that are trying to generate it. Can you, as succinctly as possible, say what sets yours apart? And so collecting all the data, presenting all of it, I know you only had a couple minutes. That sounds like a lot of other companies
Sure.
out there. What's, if there's one thing you could point to, why you're the better approach?
Simplicity. Our biggest compliment from our users is that when you log in, if all they want to see is one thing, that's all they see. Simplicity. Thanks.
My name is Emil Coleman. I'm the Chief Executive of Global Coach. We've drawn you some nice little pictures in case you can't keep up with my accent. So You know, if you get stuck, just stop me. We're a little bit different as a company. It all begins with this circle here. You know, I've sat here for the last hour and heard all these things about big data and analytics. We just make it simple. We make it so that coach can understand all this data that they're being presented with. Because let's dispel the myth right now. All coaches aren't tech savvy. They're not that smart. They may be good at what they do, but they're not great when it comes to analysis. This changes the game though. We were originally created and developed by Rafa Benitez, who is a soccer manager and one of the best soccer managers in the world. And he's renowned for his technical and tactical acumen. This software has won championships. This software has won the Europa League. This software has won many different championships all around the world. You won't see any logos up on our screens either. What I can tell you is we're used by some of the biggest clubs and the biggest brands in the world. And they come to us. We don't go to them. They come to us because we know that we have a unique insight into a coach's mind. Our technical team and the people that we can access and our users give us back data and feedback all the time, which allows us to adapt and create the best software in the world. And this is the best software in the world. We don't charge you $60,000. We charge you $4,000 a year. It's very, very simple. All coaches can use it and access it and learn this in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. It takes an analyst normally an hour to create a report in soccer. Using our software, it will take them 1 minute. What can they do with that other 59 minutes in their day? They can create, they can compile, they can communicate, and they can do all this securely as well. That circle you saw is a building block. It's a building block which allows players to be able to learn about what they need to do and to do it effectively. What happens when you get all this data? How does a coach make their mind up? How does a coach take what's in their head and tell their players or the rest of the playing staff? They use our data to visualize it. We can take any source. It doesn't matter what it is. But what we do really well is allow the coaches to visualize what their ideas are, to communicate that to their players. What we also do well is we secure it very, very cleverly. If I'm an owner of a club or a franchise and I've spent hundreds of millions or now billions of dollars in investment into this organization, what I need to do is protect my level of intellectual property. When my coach leaves or goes to another club, what do I lose? I potentially lose everything I've invested in for a number of years. With this software, you don't, because you keep your intellectual property. Your coach may move on, but you keep all your training sessions, you keep your tactics, you keep your strategy, you keep your player data. And that's the important thing in this business nowadays. And coaches and chairmen all around the world are seeing this as being a major issue for them. We're in a privileged position because of the people that we deal with. We deal with some of the biggest clubs in the world, and their feedback to us is fantastic. We simplify their lives. We allow coaches to be decisive and be creative at the same time, but it also allows players to understand things a lot better than they used to. In a typical soccer changing room right now, you've probably got 10 different nationalities, if not more, and translation is a real, real problem. How do you convey your message? You know, whether you've got 10 or 15 seconds on the sideline. With our software, you show them. It can't be interpreted in any other way. It's very, very simple. It's very, very powerful. And it really is technology for champions, and that's proven. Any questions?
I'll ask just because you mentioned a couple times in terms of the number of world-class logos. Is the issue a non-disclosure one in terms of why you can't share them, or?
The issue is more confidentiality, that we respect their confidentiality. We come from a soccer background, so we understand the need for confidentiality. With soccer right now, it's like an arms race. Everyone wants that little difference, that 1%, which will make the difference. We respect their confidence. What I can say is we work with some of the teams who are in the top 5 teams of the world right now. We deal with some of the best national teams in the world. So,
how many customers total? You share that?
Thousands.
Thousands?
Thousands, across the world, and from every level, top down. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. Can we get another round of applause for our contestants as well as our judges? Dealing with the 4 minutes was a little bit difficult, but I think we did well. So again, thank you all for coming. If you haven't seen the trade show setups, 302 right next door, they'll be here all day. So thanks again.